The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components. Lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. And these guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop, and they all drive custom vehicles. So they use their products that they sell on their own vehicles. So if you guys are looking for anything for your vehicles, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts or whatever, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com.
Just want to let you guys know that we're announcing our next giveaway. We're giving away another Acura E-Level kit. Big thanks to Acura for getting with us on this giveaway. All you got to do is either go to livelifecustom.com or grinder-tv.com, and every $5 spent, you get one entry into the draw. Enjoy this week's episode.
No, well, that one's good. Everything is set, and we're recording. We're recording.
I've been getting a lot of comments about our audio
Being bad?
being off. Like yours is louder than mine, and mine is louder than yours. So I think when you listen to it backwards, like when you review it, put a good set of headphones on.
Oh, okay.
So you're balancing, but like you're listening to both of us. Because if you're just listening to it, the computer speakers, it's probably not going to be like what it would sound like to other people. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. I see that. Is your gain and everything? I'm still at 12. Maybe your gain is a bit lower.
You're at plus 12?
No. Yeah, plus 12.
On your NT USB mini mic? Mine's been at 10 the whole time.
So maybe I'll just knock her down a bit. How about that?
Yeah. And Jose was saying, like, he said he mentioned it. He messaged the other day and messaged it, and then a couple people yesterday at
the show.
At the show were like, "Hey, why is sometimes one's louder?" And I said, "I don't know."
This is such a like doing this kind of thing.
I know. But I said, "Luckily, you guys all have volumes on your devices."
Hey, congratulations to Jose for being caught up. He is now officially caught up on all the episodes.
Is he?
Which I was like kind of I think it's funny when we like talk crap to him, and then like months from now he's like, "Hey."
Oh, I know. And then we're like, what we didn't even remember what we were saying.
But no, he's all caught up now, so all the crap talking is caught up.
Cool.
But yeah, man, how's everything going?
It's going good. I'm just getting ready for this big old trip.
Yeah, we got another whole week going down.
Yeah.
You're coming out here. Well, sort of out here first. You're heading somewhere doing a photo shoot, then coming down here.
I'm going from Phoenix to Utah Phoenix to Southern California via Southern Utah.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, because you're going to be going up, and around and down.
Yeah,
well, that's cool. That's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to this next week. You're doing that. We have the RCC career fair that went down. Is going to go down at RCC. Our friend Angelina is putting that on for her automotive department.
Have you figured out what you're like doing that for that?
No, not yet. Last time we just kind of brought down just some gear, and then we brought down the laptops and just sort of played videos, maybe something similar to that. I had an interesting, remember last time we talked, I was about to go to that high school and do a talk. I'm losing track of weeks. That happened after. That happened after. Yeah. So I did that. It was really cool. This guy that I know, I said this in last week's episode, a guy that I know who's in the scene, he ended up being the graphic design teacher at this school. And the school is kind of interesting. It's Lucerne Valley High School. So if I'm from a small desert, Lucerne is a smaller desert. It's very, very small. And I heard of the high school out there, but I've never been there. So I went there. It's very small. I don't know what that has to do with anything, just an observation. But it was a cool experience. But the last time we did something in kind of like this capacity was the last time we did the RCC the automotive career fair. And, when you're talking to college students who are looking for careers, they're much more engaging because they want to know. They're about to embark on this journey, which is, navigating the career field. And so they're pretty proactive about searching out information. High schoolers are not that. And there's nothing against them. It's just they're young kids, like they're just young people. And so I went in.
Well, also high school is like something you have to go to.
Yes.
And college, they're there because they want to.
Well, this one's a little bit different because it's an elective class. so they do kind of want to be there, more than
They still have to be there because they have to pick the one or the other elective.
that's
so they're
true.
like, yeah,
That is very true. But regardless, so I went in there, and I should have been more prepared, but it was still a cool experience. But yeah, like I thought my friend was like, can you talk for an hour? I was like, I can talk for 7 hours. Like that's not a problem.
yeah.
Except for when you're not engaged with somebody. So
I was gonna say like it's just like this podcast sometimes where we're like, yeah, we could definitely do it, and then sometimes there's a little anxiety about like, well, what are we gonna? Because you could today we were talking about Severed. You could be like, how's the show? I'm like, it was great, cool. And then that's it. And then like we still have 59 more minutes to figure this out.
And that's how it was.
So,
I got up there, kind of explained my story. And that took up like 5 or 10 minutes, and then it was like, "What kind of questions do you guys have?" And then nothing, and I'm like, "Uh-oh." So I made it through it. I kind of talked in circles a few times, but it really kind of turned into a conversation. This is a graphics design class where they're like learning about decorating garments, not only the screen printing process, but through like direct to garment printing, heat pressing. Like they're learning about all these different ways to decorate garments. And so that was definitely part of the talk, but it kind of evolved into more like learning the skill is one thing. Like I don't want to say that's easy because that takes like a long time and there's a lot of details involved in learning that. But it's the other part of that process is like the business side. Like that's the part that takes some, like you have to like pay attention to, And so anyway, so the conversation kind of turned into that, like, yeah, I do this. I create t-shirts to sell either to customers who want t-shirts, or I'm selling them to sell it at car shows. And then the latter is like having to do all this extra work to make that happen, and and how that extra work plays into it. And then one time I don't know when you said it, but one time you said it, you're like, if you have the opportunity to take a business class, like do that, because that's like the other side of this whole process, So we talked about that for a while. And they were receptive. I do have to say that, like, although they weren't very like interactive, they listened the whole time. Like my buddy was like, don't be offended if they're like on their phones, that's just that's their age. I'm like, yeah,
they're allowed to have phones.
I don't know. This is Lucerne Valley. No, just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
They have phones in Lucerne Valley? They have cell service in Lucerne Valley?
Jeez. Barely.
No one's listening from Lucerne
Valley.
Valley.
I know, right? The one person from Lucerne Valley is like, just like doing the dishes, like, hey.
I have Starlink.
Starlink. But no, they were all engaged. They were not engaged. I mean, they were engaged as far as like paying attention and listening to what I have to say.
Yeah, they weren't like just not like getting distracted.
Right. Else. So, so I got through that, but I learned that like if I'm going to do this again, then I need to have more, especially talking to that demographic of young people. Like, I need a better plan going into it, but I needed to do that to learn that. But the one thing was it was like really, it was a really cool experience. Like I want to do it again. Like, doing the RCC thing, I like doing that. I really like doing that. So if I was to ever get an opportunity where I talk to other, classes and stuff, I'd love to do it, because it was cool. It was a cool experience.
Yeah. That's, you should talk to Eric and Angeline about that.
What's funny is the last time we did the RCC thing, this guy approached me and he's like, same thing. He's like, hey, I had the graphic art department. We just got a screen printing press. If you want to come down here and talk to the students about how to do it. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Well, and then everything else, the pandemic happened and that didn't happen. Oh, yeah. So I wonder if that, I'm really curious to see if that guy's still there, if he remembers me, cause I would like totally love to do that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I, the biggest difference with the RCC thing is where like you went to the high school and you talked to them, where we're just standing there and then we have rotating people coming and asking like us, like, who are you? What do you do? And stuff like that. I just created a QR code and I'm gonna print it out and when I ship t-shirts, I use sticky half sheets to stick to the packages. So I'm just gonna print the QR code on the sticky sheet and then put that on a clear piece of plexi, and then set that next to my laptop.
Oh, cool. That's a cool idea. So then
when people scan it, it just goes right to it'll go, it'll have 2 links, one link to the YouTube channel and one link to the website.
Oh, nice.
So they can because I figure everyone's going to have their phone there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have a business card or like a banner is not going to do anything, like people aren't going to remember, but if they're like on the phone, just scan it and then it goes
That's a cool
right to
idea.
the thing.
That's a really cool idea. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, because I was sitting there thinking like, I don't have a banner that says Grinder TV on it. Like I was like, is all these banners that I have, they're just
like trucks and stuff,
just artwork. Yeah. So I was like, what? And then Eric called me last night, and he was saying, just in case, bring a table and an easy up, just if they don't have enough or whatever. So I was like, all right, we have that stuff at Frank's. We have that my black 10x10 there, and then plenty of tables and that stuff. So we figured just bring both 2 laptops, play different videos on them, and then just talk to people.
That'd be cool. Maybe like last time we had like the gimbals kind of set up. Maybe we'll do a mic.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll set up a microphone or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
we'll fake it.
We'll fake it. It was like,
What do you guys do? We're like nothing.
that's how it was last time. That's exactly how it was last time. We had these people come up to us. They're like, what do you do? And we're like, well, I mean, I guess we make video. I don't know. But I think we like quickly learned like what we were there for, to show them that there's another thing to do in this industry. You don't need to turn wrenches. You could have a desk job in the automotive industry and do something that you like to do.
Well, like you said, like you were saying about the other side of everything, if you go to high school and then out of high school and then like kind of like what I did was when I was 30 something years old, I was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Or when I was in my 20s and I was like, I'm going to start a magazine. I only knew the side of going to truck shows and that side of things. I didn't know the business around the magazine. I knew that you took photos, you put them in this thing, and then you made a book, and then you sent, and then a printer printed it, right? But if you take those steps 1 through 10 or whatever to make a magazine, every step there's a different business involved.
Yeah.
And then in those businesses, so like step 1, you drive to the truck show, right? Well, that business involves a car or transportation, which is in a crazy industry. And then 2, you go and you take photographs, which that involves a camera, memory cards, or whatever. And then that's an industry in itself. And then 3, you come to a computer. That's an industry. And then 4, you send it to a printer. And so the printing is an industry. And then you think about the printing itself. Within that, there's machines. That's an industry. So like it's like when you think about space and it's like infinity, and it like it can kind of like make you go crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you think of industry within the steps that it takes you to leave your house, go do something, and then produce something, there's an infinite amount of industry within
that. Yeah. It's like we were talking about the Dinos thing too, these microeconomies, and that's the same thing that Dinos does. There's so many industries involved in just that one small like sect of custom trucks. So there's plenty of opportunity.
You think of a car show in itself. There's like, I just think of our booth, right? So we have an Easy Up or a Canopy. That's an industry in itself. You know what I mean? With graphic design, the materials to put it together, and then behind all of these businesses is marketing.
That's the when I was talking to those students, like that's what I kept on landing back on is the marketing. Like that's like, if you think about it, that's what drives this whole thing. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of this is just marketing. I told them it's really, again, I say this with like a little, caveat or whatever, but it's really easy to produce something. Like you can figure that out, but how to get that thing that you've produced into actual people's hands, that's the hard part. That's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah, and getting it in front of people's eyes, which now we're in an entirely new, relatively new era of that, because before getting it in front of people meant you had to travel places and like go to conventions and go to events, and we're now like you don't have to do that.
Yeah, definitely we like live in this like direct to consumer world now, because like you're right, because if 20 years ago you started a brand, the hardest thing you'd be working on every single day is going to stores, and trying to get your brand in those stores, because those were the vehicles in how to get your shirts into real people's hands. But now with all the technology, maybe not the technology, so to speak, but just the way that our society is structured today, we have a much more direct to consumer model. And a lot of big brands did that. I can think of a couple like Rebel 8, Famous Stars and Straps. Like they started doing that. Or Born and Raised is the brand I talk about all the time. They're not in stores. If they are in stores, they are in like one store in like a big city or something, simply to have like a brick and mortar place to have something. But their goal is not to get into retail stores. Their goal is simply just to get viewers, get eyeballs on their product and sell it straight to those people. And that's the new model. And that's the model that we have. That's basically our model as well. You know, a little bit more modified because we go to shows and stuff and set up booths, but basically.
But we don't have to.
No, we don't have to. And that's
the thing. Like you're in the position to where like you could literally have everything delivered to your house, walk out to the shop, print a T-shirt, and then just go on the computer and pay to advertise on Instagram or whatever, and then just get it in front of people's faces.
Yeah, definitely that way. But like that's one of my like goals for the future is to not haul around the booth everywhere and just go to shows, create content, you know. And I think like, I mean, because you could say that about the creating content too. Like you could pay someone to create content, you know. We've said that before. Like, you know, a lot of these there are a lot of let me see how to put this. There's a lot of pages out there that build up a big following, kind of doing like reposting stuff, because maybe they don't have the means to get to shows to create their own content, which is a real thing. But that doesn't stop you from saying to someone like, hey, go take some photos for me. So you're making them for me, but can you do it? And whatever compensation happens in between that. But you know, what my point is like, there's just ways to go about creating your own content and marketing your own product without ever really, like you said, without really ever leaving your home base, so to speak. You know, it's nicer when you can go out and create your own content and do it. You know, I think there's some.
It is definitely more rewarding. You know, when you yourself did something, like you yourself went to the show, you yourself took the photos, and then you did. But it's not a necessity.
It's not a necessity.
It's like the built versus bought thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're going to pay someone to work on your truck, or you're going to work on your truck. The outcome is going to be the same thing. Whether I go to take photos at a show or I pay someone. That's a big thing, though, is like compensating someone to pay. Like, there's people out there that, they'll take some photos and they will give them to you because that they're there already, or they just enjoy it, or they don't do it for a living. So, like, that's like fun to them. But, like, if you were to tell me, like, hey, man, while you're at the show, will you take photos for me?
No.
And I will be like, for $500, I will give you X amount of photos.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, that's a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, but that's what I do for a living. Right. So like, there is that, you know what I mean? And then there's the quality factor too. Like, how do you want these photos to be?
I was going to bring up
good
that point,
quality, or do you want them to be just like, I don't want to say basic, but a photographer knows different angles. You know, I don't even go as far as like equipment, because you can do the same thing on a phone for show coverage that you can with a camera. But like, do you want your photos to be unique to you, or do you want them to just look like someone walked around with a phone and
kind of snap some photos?
Yeah, and it's totally up to you. That's your, whatever your end goal is for that to look like. You know, like if I owned a magazine or a website, I would say I want my photos to be of a higher quality. I want the person that's taking them to be there for that. So I'm going to compensate this person money, or seek out a person that does it for a living, because I want them to be unique to my website or to my page, you know, something like that.
And that just reiterates the point that we're trying to make. There are tons of spaces to fill. You know, if you have a brand but you don't know how to take photos, you can make that happen. If you know how to take photos but you don't have a brand and you want to either do it for fun or be like, there's so many spaces to fill, you know. It's actually really like endless, you know.
It is. It's that infinite. Infinite.
Finite would be like there are an end, and infinite is no end.
Is that the difference? Yeah. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
whatever. Just go out there. Just someone make some content so we all could consume.
So I can sit in my bedroom at night and scroll endlessly before I go to sleep.
Yeah, and then in my case, have FOMO from the show that I missed this weekend.
Oh yeah, how was the FOMO on your side?
It was pretty real. Not as real as like some other times. Like I mean, obviously, like when I missed the LA mini truck show. I mean, that was bad.
Yeah.
This one was just like, oh man, I wish I could be hanging out with my
friends. The LA mini truck show was missed, not because you had another obligation to fulfill. Like
I was just broken.
You were just broke. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm at my daughter's softball game because I also want to be at my daughter's softball game, but I also want to be at the show. And
yeah.
The LA one, you were like, I have nothing else to do today.
I just sat there.
Yeah.
Watching.
There's
every single story and post. But anyway.
Yeah.
This time wasn't. It was like, it was mild. It was just like, oh cool, I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to stay home. Daughter stuff again. My oldest was in a play. And, it's kind of changed now because now that she's older, like when I was thinking about this morning as we're getting ready, like going through the conversation and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was at my daughter's play. So when you usually hear that, you think of like, like little kids running around, like, doing little kid playwright stuff. But what my daughter's into now, she's older. So now it's like full productions, like they're actual things with like tickets and, sets.
It's more theater.
It's theater. Yeah, she's in theater. So it's more of a theater production rather than a play. And so I was here this weekend doing that. I missed the show. And yeah, I was a little missed out. But tell me about it. What happened?
It was really good. It didn't rain like last year.
That's good.
It was close though because on like late Thursday night, like midnight, it just poured here.
Oh really?
Yeah, and like the forecast, you start looking at the forecast like 7 days before whatever you're planning that day. Mm-hmm. So 7 days before, it showed like rain 40% on Friday.
Oh.
Which that could shift at any point before or after a little bit. So I was like, told Joe, I was like, so if it rains at your event, are you just going to give up? Like, are you just going to throw things? Because he just gets really upset.
Back in the lead.
Because I don't know if you saw some of the comments in the group in our chat, but it was like when people comment on Facebook, like, oh, this sucked because it rained. So like Lonnie goes through this too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And any event promoter kind of goes through this. But when your event is not canceled, but it's something happens and it's out of your control, like weather, and then you go online and you see people talking about it.
Yeah.
You take it as a different way than the person posting it. So like,
yes.
So like, I'll give you an example. Our show, when people complain about the hotel being sold out, they're not talking bad about the event. Granted, some people are, and it's stupid, but they're just stating a fact.
Yeah. But
it sucks because the hotel's sold out and I can't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I take it as the show sucks and you should do something about it.
Man, I deal with that all the time. Not that particular thing, not being a show promoter, but I understand what you're saying. Because like, I do it really bad through like messages and stuff. Like,
like the thumbs up.
The thumbs up, or like even like, okay, this actually just happened recently. I got a message from somebody and I read it and I'm all and then I said to Angie, I said, look what this person said, and I said it like blah 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 blah, and then Angie said like, no, that's probably not how they sounded. Like you just gave them that voice. It's probably like blah blah blah, but you were like, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Well, you take it in, like Chelsea does the same thing because she deals with selling these cookies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets messages from people and she'll same thing. She'll read a message and I'm like, that's not how they meant that.
I know. It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, and you know what that is? That's anxiety.
It is. It's anxiety. It's maybe a little insecurity. Yeah,
like, it's a lot. Yeah, it's both of those things. But it's just like because you're expecting people to say something, you're already expecting it,
right?
To sound a certain way, and it's just like Joe was with the show when people were talking about the rain, and I was like, I said in the chat, I was like, those people aren't talking bad about the event.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that they woke up early in the morning, got their trucks prepared, they went to the show, and it sucks that the show ended early because of the rain.
Right.
That was last year. This year, everything went totally fine.
Yeah, all the videos look great. All the stories look great.
Yeah, it was not a cloud in the sky. It was. I actually forgot to bring shorts.
Oh, was it warm?
Well, these shows these shows at this time of year start out. It was 40 degrees when I woke up in the morning and drove down there. So it's freezing. You're in a hoodie. And then by like 9-ish, 10-ish, the hoodie comes off.
Mm-hmm.
And then by like 11, I was like, man, I wish I would have brought shorts. Just because it's just the sun is just beating down on you. You go into the shade and it's cool. But when you're walking around the show, you're just like, I was like, I hate wearing pants.
Yeah, well, we found that out last episode.
I like wearing flannel pants when I'm at home.
Yeah,
but I don't like wearing. It's funny because even at home, like I have shorts, like pajama style shorts, and I don't like wearing them at home. But I don't like wearing pants out in. I like wearing shorts out in public. Mm-hmm. So it's a very opposite thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally
but anyways, it was warm and it was perfect.
Did you you set up a booth, but did you also film or did you?
I did.
Oh, you filmed. Oh, cool.
Yep. It's funny because the last couple of years, there's a guy in Severed named Adam, and he's got a video production company. It's a very it's a real video production company, unlike like our video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like he does stuff for Ford and he does stuff for different companies. So he wasn't able to make it due to some work obligations of past few years. So he's like, hey, can you get some footage for me so I can make their promo videos and stuff? And I was like,
he made those Severed promo videos?
Yeah, I filmed those.
Okay.
He made those. Yeah.
I see.
You're like, dang, those are good. Brian's doing good. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I didn't say that, but I did say, oh, this is really nice.
I look at him and go, why can't I do that?
I do that all the time.
It's a totally two different types of visions, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyways. So it's just like you said, like I could probably do that if I was shown how to do that, but my vision isn't there on how to do that.
Right.
Anyways, but he was there, he was filming, and I told Joe, I said, so Adam's filming, I don't need to make a video, right?
And what did he say? He's like, no, you still need to do that.
Yeah. I was just like, well, can I just pay you for the booth? No.
That's not an unusual thing.
It's not. And then I get out there and start filming, and then I look at my footage afterwards, and I was like, oh, cool. I super stoked with it, and I'm actually on that note is I'm finally like Red Rocks was like kicking my butt as far as music goes.
Uh-huh.
It's been like I had the first 25% of it done, and I couldn't get the next step.
Oh,
you know what
I
mean?
know. I know exactly that feeling.
Yeah, for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Like I actually, or it's been even longer than that, just trying to find something. I think I just found something today. It's a little different, but sometimes I don't know. It kind of works.
Sometimes the biggest thing that I run into when I get into that spot is just how to like make it make sense to get to the next part of the video. Like this part of the video is like worked so well, everything was going, but there was really no good transition into the next like.
Mine wasn't. I had the transition to the next part of the video. I just couldn't find the song.
I know that, dude. That's such a pain sometimes.
I just want to be done with it. I just don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't want to try to find songs to go to music.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to find music to go to videos anymore. Like I'm just like, as much as I enjoy some of these, I want to like not do it as much. Like just like I've been talking about. Like I don't want to do every single event. Have to do that.
Right. No, I get it.
You know, I want to go to Severed and not do anything as far as the video goes. And then maybe the next year I'll be like, oh, I didn't make a video last year. I'm going to make a video this time.
I feel the exact same way. P.S. Like every year, because like, you know, we're gearing up again for all of our big shows at the beginning of the year. And it's like we go every single year and it's like, what are we going to do? But then again, like the conclusion I always come to almost every single time is that like, even if the video was very, very similar to last year's video, it helps out the promoters because it shows that they did it another year. So now people are watching the newest video for that show. And also they're not going to, most viewers, I can't say they're not going to, but think most viewers won't go back and like compare it, you know? It's been so long anyway that they'll just see this new video, they'll watch it and they're like, oh, that was cool. And then move on, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, it's because I'm editing video all the time.
Yeah.
It's almost like the guys that work at the shop that then they have to go home and work on their own car or something like that.
But it wouldn't your own car be your build videos?
They would be, but those are different. So it's like I'm not. let's see how did that compare, because I'm not having to, like, the song isn't limiting the progress.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's,
And you know, sometimes you don't even need songs. You don't even need music. You're just telling.
Oh no, my
this-
build videos, I don't. It's not.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not. It's not music. It's the show videos.
Mhm.
They're. It's and a lot of people, other people are doing them now too.
Mhm.
So it just becomes like, not that I don't. I don't know. It's very hard to explain.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well, I get it because
it's-
I'm also in that same boat. But yeah, I guess it would be hard to explain to someone else, because someone else, like people listening right now, are just like, we don't care, just make a video. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
and I also hold everything that I do, especially the music and the cuts, and like making sure things. This clip starts here and stops here, and then this other clip, like it has to make sense. Like I can't just hodgepodge a bunch of clips together,
Yeah.
and feel good about it.
Yeah.
It has to, like, I'm super super critical of certain things.
No, I totally get that. And like you said, it's just because you do it every single day, all day long. So it must get a little monotonous too, you know?
Yeah, I finally got caught up with everything. Like finished all the C10 Nationals.
Oh, cool.
Clips from Nashville, and then I had a bunch of other stuff, and then it all starts over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, yeah.
So-
This next year's coming up, dude. Like we're thinking, like, oh, LST is a while away. No, it's 2 months away. Little over 2 months away.
Yeah,
And now
I have like no T-shirts.
Yeah, I know, me neither. Like I got to start gearing up, which is a problem because we have a new giveaway going on. Like we need product to sell. I got a couple shirts coming out.
I've got before LST. I'll have 2 new designs.
Mhm.
So I have, and then I got to reprint a couple of these other ones. But I'm like, I finally am retiring the Pinstripe C10 shirt.
Oh, really? Yeah. Putting that
Yeah, I
one
have
down.
like, if anyone needs a 5XL, if anyone listening needs 5XL shirts, I have some.
Okay, of the Pinstripe C10.
I have a couple different.
Oh,
ones.
okay.
They're I don't know if people just don't look for those,
Mhm.
but I know there's people out there that need them.
Yeah.
That want them. So hit me up. I have some. I'll hook you up.
Yeah.
I have like one 5XL that shirt left. I was just blowing those out for $10 this weekend. Like
Nice.
trying to, because I have to. I figured I have to force myself to like retire shirts
Mm-hmm.
to fill the gap with, because it becomes like I get lazy.
I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, I have a shirt there. I don't need to make another shirt.
Yeah.
If I don't have a shirt and I don't just tell Brandon to reprint these, it forces me to like invest in a new shirt.
Yeah. I'm about to make that jump too. I've been talking to a couple different artists and stuff, and I'm about to make that jump myself. Just start putting in the effort to come up with new designs that are out of the scope of what I can produce, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in the chat last night when we were talking about that, when you were showing everybody,
Mhm.
and it's like I'm like, how do I say this without being mean? I was like, I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, no, it made
I was
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
like, because there's certain things like that we are capable of doing, and then there's we take those capabilities and push them to the limit.
Mm-hmm. And then we
if we
live there. We just kind of live in that.
We live there, and we're just forcing that, and
Yeah.
it's just like, look, we should just let the professionals do this
Mhm.
and take a little bit of money and invest in ourselves.
Yes, I'm doing that for myself. I'm taking that mentality, but it is a little scary because like when we're making our own designs, if we're living in that limit, we're pushing that limit and living there. At least for me, because if I design something, make the shirts, go and it flops, I'll be like, okay, that didn't work. But like,
Yeah, but
if I put,
but you're always going to make the money back.
yeah, well, at least, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
that's true.
let's say you like said, hey Nick, here's my idea, here's my rough draft, and my budget's $600.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make the $600 back.
I know that's the mentality that I need to.
And here's the
start
other. I was laying in bed thinking about this last night. I was like, this dude Frank, it's like, is about to, like, he's shopping for a brand new truck that's $60,000.
Which that's the next part of this conversation.
Half of a car payment is what we were talking. Like,
Yeah.
is that like,
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this new truck that's X amount of money a month, but I'm like, I don't want to like spend a few $100s to pay an artist,
Yeah.
knowing you're gonna get the money back
I know.
pretty soon, right?
It's all up here, man.
It is.
It's all up
It's
here.
just, we all go through it in a certain way
Mm-hmm.
because it's scary to just throw money out and then go, well, I don't need to throw that money out because I can do it.
Yeah.
But then if you like have someone else do it, like even last night when Will was like, take the truck off, do this, it changed the
I know.
entire dynamic of that T-shirt.
I know. Yeah.
So
No, yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm trying to, this next year, I'm really trying to take that mentality. I've been talking back and forth with Rick the Dutch guy, so we're working on something. So it's gonna be good. Gonna take a little more risk this year. We'll see what happens. But
well, you have to. It's you're 40. You're 41. 40. You're 41.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be 47 in 8 days.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, your birthday's
Yeah.
in January. Yeah.
To me,
No, your birthday's in December, not January.
no,
I thought it was January this whole
December
time.
10th. No.
I'm a
That's
good
okay.
friend.
Yeah, it's all right. We don't go on Facebook as much as we used to, so we don't know when people's birthdays are.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, like there's no more time for me at least to like be reserved.
You got to go for it.
Well, you're supposed to be reserved way early on in this. Like how many years have you been doing Custom Life?
Yeah.
BST.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We're at a point now. I've been doing Grindr TV for forever. You know, let's say Grindr TV, the first video was 2010, so 14 years. In 14 years, your business should be making.
I know.
There shouldn't be like, oh, I need to save a little bit of money. It's like, no, you should be like a design in, design out, design in, design out, design in, and design out. And with you printing your own T-shirts, like
I have much more freedom.
And there's so much less risk.
That's true. Yeah, that's another way I need to look at it as well. Like investing in art. Whatever I'm investing in art, I'm saving by just printing my own stuff and not having to have this. That you're right. Take an extra risk because not only do you have to pay for the art, you got to pay for like the stock of shirts and hope they sell.
And your art and your shirts are less likely to flop if you're spending money to have them made better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Not saying anything, but just I don't even know how to put that in words without sounding like mean, but like you could make this art, but if you send it to an artist and spend a few $100s,
It'll be
they could
way
like,
better.
Yeah, and then that will sell more T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And like, say you spent $600 on art, you have $1,000 invested in this design. How many T-shirts do you have to sell to make that $1,000
Right.
back?
50. Is
Yeah,
that right?
so it's not very many.
Yeah.
Like it's really not very many. You know what I mean? You might sell more. I just learned this with this new design, like going out on a limb and actually like not being reserved.
Yeah. No, it's great advice.
So
And that's like not progress, but that's like evolving. That's like an evolving mentality. If we just
and having faith in yourself.
yeah, and we should have faith in ourselves. Like we put a lot of work into all this stuff, and our the people who buy our stuff like it. You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we want to do good by them too and produce more stuff.
And and one thing that since we're kind of like going down this whole like one thing I want to go after this next year is also you're talking about don't be reserved about stuff. Go after stuff. Another thing that I really want to do is not be reserved with my designs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times I'm like last night without giving away like what it looks like, we were talking about this image and I had some text and I had an image and then I had a truck. And the truck looks so out of place, but I put it there because I'm like, no, I need to have a truck on there. I need to have a truck on there. So I want to take a risk where I just make like, I either have it made or make it myself and says, I love that. That looks so good. That looks so cool. I'm going to put that out there. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, well then, like you said, I have the freedom to take a little more risk than everybody else. Not everybody else, but
yeah, if you make it, because we all do that. We all make designs that don't do well. But at least you made the money back on the shirt itself, and then you just let it go, and it's done, and you move on to the next one.
Right.
You're like, oh, well, that one didn't do great, but you liked it, and you have that T-shirt to wear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm excited about my brand. I went through. I talked about this before, and I don't know if anybody remembers because it was a long time ago I talked about this. But I did go through a phase a few years ago where I was cool. I was happy with my brand. I was very happy with the designs. But I found myself like wearing other people's stuff more, not like kind of subconsciously. Like when I was making like stuff for a lot of different customers, I found myself wearing their stuff a lot. Not because I didn't like my stuff, but I found their stuff more exciting, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought a while ago, I was like, I need to make stuff exciting for myself, because like that's not fair to the people that I'm selling the shirts to, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Like I had one guy come up to me this weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I got all these already."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he's like, I bought them all at a Day to Remember, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. That was recent." You know what I mean? But at LST, if that same person comes up and they're like, "Oh, I got all these,"
a year later, yeah,
that's someone that's coming up. That's like that goes back to this pinstripe C10 shirt, like retiring that one. It's like, yeah, I might bring that back like in 3 or 4 years because people love that shirt and they're going to now wear all theirs out and they're going to want it again.
Right.
But yeah, just creating stuff. Remember those conversations too we used to have on the road trips is like, because they can also be a bad thing doing the stuff you like as well.
Yeah, well, I know, and
you know what I'm saying.
I guess that's what I'm like ultimately scared of, because I've done that too, where I've gotten so, and we've talked about this many times, where I've gotten so like intricate or like in the know that like no, I don't get that.
Yeah, but at the same time, your brand wasn't as known back then.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. We have evolved in that way as well.
You know, because if you do look at some of your other designs, I have some of your shirts. There's no trucks on them.
Yeah,
you just created, but you were like a newer brand back then, so people are like, what? I don't know what this is. But now that you put yourself out there, you can maybe like revert back to that.
Yeah.
And then people will go, oh, I don't need a truck on there because I just know that this is a brand that I like.
That's where I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get it to where, like, if like Famous Stars and Straps, if they just came out with a shirt that said Famous on it, boom, people love it. They'll buy it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'd like to live, is in that space. But to get to that space though, this is the other side of that. To get into that space, we got to put in the work to make people like the brand, right? So that's where
that's exactly what we've been doing.
That's what I'm saying. So we can't like let off the gas on that. You know, we just we need to keep going on that, keep creating content, keep on getting people excited about the brand itself, you know.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it goes right back to what I say and what I'm doing, and is not being scared to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, exactly that. Just don't be scared to invest in yourself. Like, don't be afraid that money is not going to come back.
Yeah.
It's going to come back. There's never been a t-shirt that either of us have made that hasn't made a profit in the end.
That's a really good point. I didn't really think about that, but out of all the years we've been doing this, the biggest fear in the beginning, like the very first time I went to LST, because the first LST that we went to in 2015 was so scary, because we're traveling across the country. We have all this money invested in it, and we don't know what the return is going to be. But we've been doing that since 2015 for almost 10 years now. And we need to I'm talking about me, like let go of that feeling, because it's going to work out. You've been doing it for 10 years. It's going to work out, you know?
Yeah.
And if
let go of don't be scared, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It just in a, like, hey, this it's working. Let's hit the gas a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's really good. I didn't know I was going to come here on a Sunday and get an intervention. No, just kidding.
Well, what's going to happen? Because I was thinking it last night. I was like, in my head, when I said that, I was like, and you know, talking about buying the new truck and stuff, I was like, you know, we buy these material things because it makes us feel good, but we should do the opposite too. Mm-hmm. We should also be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, because the money in a physical thing, it's a tangible thing. Mm-hmm. Like buying a Ford Maverick, buying a Toyota Tundra, buying something. It's like you see it makes you happy. Mm-hmm. Throwing money to an artist, you're gonna see the art. Once you see the art, it's going to be that same feeling.
I bet you, yeah, that's a good point. I bet you, yeah. Because you're going to be like, damn, that's cool. Yeah.
And the one thing that I, like when I saw the art from my last one, I was like, okay, now I'm onto something. Mm-hmm. And I think you're feeling that way with this design you're working on now. Uh-huh. And you'll feel that way with the next one that you get from, like, say, Rick the Dutch. But then there also comes to, like, artists are busy. Good artists are busy, so you have to wait for it.
Right.
In between the waiting, you have to keep going too. Mm-hmm. So there might be a time like me where I'm like putting money out and I'm only seeing one here and then one here and one down the road, because now I was excited about the one. Now I want to be excited about the next one, but I can't wait till that next one is here already to start on the following one.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's kind of where, at least where I'm at, and just like the good feeling that you get when you see it is like
yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's gonna be good. Yeah. So that was severed. No, I got a little off track on that one.
That's all right.
But the other thing that I wanted to talk about today, and you've alluded to it a couple times, we're looking for a truck.
Yeah.
We've come down to like the time after, things or whatever. And we're starting to look for a truck. We're looking for a Tundra. This is an interesting, I want to talk about this because you have like some really strong feelings on this whole subject.
Yeah.
And so a couple weeks ago, like after Thanksgiving, I took the family down to the dealership. We sat in a couple trucks, and I almost got myself into a problem. And you pulled me out of the drink when I started like, okay, so but what I want to do is, this is what I want to do before we get really in the weeds. What I want to do is, I thought about it. Like usually when you do something like this, you like go get the truck and then you kind of surprise everybody. Like, look at what I got. You know, and I was thinking about that, like, oh, that'd be cool to do that. But everybody does that. But we have this that we talk and we kind of like give our listeners like some insight into our personal lives and stuff like that to a certain degree. And I think it would be interesting to take our friends, our listeners with us or with me along this journey of buying a new truck.
Yeah.
And the journey starts with me last weekend going to the dealership here in the desert. We have all the major dealerships. We have Toyota, Nissan, Ford. We have them all. But since we're up here in the desert in this kind of like smallish community, they don't have a lot of stock on the lot. Mm-hmm. They only had maybe like 4 Tundras, you know? And so buying a truck, like actually all throughout growing up, my parents buying cars and me buying cars, I've never actually bought a vehicle up here. We've always went what we call down the hill. Like I've said before, that's the Ontario, Los Angeles, greater LA area, whatever you want to call it. But we start that journey here in the desert. We go to the dealership. We were really kind of like in between Tacomas and Tundras. We're back and forth. And you and I, we talk about trucks and vehicles like all the time. Like pretty much every day we talk about different trucks and new trucks. And so we go to the dealership, we start looking at the Tacomas because obviously they're cheaper, so we sit in the whole family sits down, and I quickly realize, I'm like, this one's not it. And the way I described it was, we sit down in this Tundra, me, Angie, the girls in the back, and I'm all, this is cool. This is nice. This is definitely nice.
Oh, you said Tundra right now.
I said, I'm sorry, Tacoma. We sat down in the Tacoma. Yeah. Thank you. We sat down in the Tacoma, and I sat down. I was like, this is nice. This is very nice. It's a new truck. It's very nice. Then we went and sat down in the Tundra, and we were like, oh my God. This thing is so freaking cool. And so we looked at a couple, and they had one in particular. And I think, okay, so like as we go through this journey, and especially in the beginning, I think we'll like kind of like have a little kind of like, not ground rule, so to speak, but things feeling comfortable discussing and not feeling comfortable discussing. I think talking about the overall cost of the vehicle is something we can discuss because like that's just the facts of what it is. But payments and down, like those will be like kind of like gray areas we won't really get into. So anyway, so we find this one. Me and Angie both love the truck. It's $62,000 for this truck. And, dealerships do their dealership thing, and they're kind of like making it all sound good. And we're like, we didn't commit right away. We're like, okay, we got to talk about it, And then I hit you up and I explained it, and you're like, hold on. You need to stop and think for a minute because this doesn't make a ton of sense. And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. So now what I've been doing is now I'm going to like broaden my horizons. I've already visited a couple dealerships down the hill. Not a couple, actually just went to one so far, which is Crown Toyota in Ontario. Mm-hmm. And the stark contrast between the dealership up here and the dealership down there. I mean, right off the bat, they had 12 Tundras sitting down there. Yeah. And that same truck that I found up here, I found down there for like $56,000. Yeah. So I mean, that's like, and so that just kind of sets the pace for how trucks are up here. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's a journey. For some people, it's not, because for some people, they have money to where it doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they could be like, it doesn't matter to them how much their payments are or how much the vehicle is. They just buy it.
They just do it.
But for people like us, it matters. You know what I mean? Like $100 a month matters or whatever. So, but I went through a situation. We bought a 2016 Honda Accord, and we got really. I didn't know a lot of like I knew a lot about buying a car. I bought new cars before, and used cars from dealerships, but things have changed from back in the day to now. So like, the price of the vehicle is on there. So everyone knows what if the sticker price is on there. That's a no haggle price. So say it's $60,000 on the sticker, you can't go in there with cash and be like, "I've got $55,000."
Right.
Like that's not a thing. Really a thing anymore. It might be in some markets, but usually not in this market. Like it might be something in a $200,000 car market or something like that, or a used car market. But it's usually the price. So where dealers make their money now is add-ons.
And that's where the dealership up here in the desert, that's where he, and the salesman said as much. He's like, well, we did put tires on this thing that were like $2,700, or they add a lift, or they do like these little tiny things. And then again, like, and this is like one cool thing about this is like, now that like we're getting involved with it, me and Angie are, and then you're kind of like giving us advice. It's like we're like tag teaming this whole situation because I get wrapped up in it. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But then you're like, hold on, wait. Let's talk about the tires in particular. $2,700 for tires. You're financing that over the X amount of however many months you're going to finance it. Like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That is ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, so the dealerships make, and I'm not going to pretend to know everything about this. I only know from a little bit of experience buying our last 3 cars, and then a lot of YouTube minutes and hours watched on it. But the dealers will make their money on add-ons, and they're also going to make their money in the finance office with warranties, gap insurance. They can finagle the interest rates a little bit. You know what I mean? So they can tell you one thing, and then they can adjust the price of the vehicle so the dealer makes a little bit more money. And there's just all these things in play. And if you just go in there willy-nilly, they know that 8 or 9 times out of 10, the excitement factor is going to sell the car.
Oh, yeah. And they got to know that. And luckily, the salesman that I got up here in the desert, I think I lucked out because he was kind of younger, and he's kind of like, well, this is how it is. But I think a more, how should I put it? A more like keen salesman would have saw me and been like, oh yeah.
Yeah. When we went and bought the Civic, it was peak, terrible time to buy a car, especially cars, because there was no cars. Mm-hmm. Like the Civic that we got, they were getting one of those Civics a week, or maybe one every 2 weeks. Mm. They, you know what I mean? Like, and it would hit the most car sales like in that were orders. You know, like you go down the dealer, you said you would order it, and then you'd have to wait. This one we got lucky, and it had just gotten dropped off the truck, and the guy was like, "Do you want that?" And we're like, "Yeah, we want it." And he's like, "Okay, here's the prices on everything. Do you want it for this amount?" And we're like, "Yeah." And then when we got into the finance department, it was late at night, and it was like. They pretend to be your best friend, you know what I mean? Like they pretend to relate to you. They're so freaking good about it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then we get home, and it's Thanksgiving weekend 2 years ago, and it was like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I remember pulling the paper out, the long paper they give you with all the line items, and I remember looking at that at the dealer when we were signing, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And they're like, "Oh, that's, the this and the that," and I was like, "Okay," and I got home and I looked at it and I went, nope. And I called the salesman. The salesman's name was Dino.
Oh, really? That's funny.
And he knew the Chevy scene. He knew Dino's get down. He knew, like, he was old school Phoenix guy, grew up in the area. Like, he was did photography on the side. Like, he was a really, and he's been doing the dealership for like 25 years. And the person that recommended us to him was a lady that retired that helped us not get screwed on transferring our lease to purchase for our Accord. Mm-hmm. And Joe Molina from C10 Vatos knew her because they're all, he works for a dealer, and so she when we went to purchase our lease with the Accord, she was like, yeah, you get you're getting screwed on this, screwed on this, screwed on this. They were double taxing you on this, doing this. And I was like, no way. And she goes, yeah, it's like, anyways. Yeah. So he had a little bit of like, since she knew they were really good friends and stuff, like he was like, okay, I'm going to treat you guys good because you knew her, you know, like, so when I got home and I read the line items and all this stuff, and I called him and I said, hey man, remember how I told you the reason we went to you was not to get screwed?
And all of a sudden
I was like, well, your finance guy, he screwed us. And he goes, what do you
so
mean?
It wasn't like his, I see what you're saying. It was like
once the salesman passes you off to the finance
like
guy,
it's like
the salesman's job is done.
Okay.
You know, they're just there to get you into the finance office.
Right.
The finance guy is the one that really does it. So in so many words, I told him that if this wasn't fixed, I was probably going to go to jail.
You're going to drive the cars through the dealer.
Dead serious. And not physically harming anything, but like I was going to make the Civic go away. You know what I mean? Like
this was going to cease to exist.
The Civic was going to cease to exist. And he said, come in Friday after Thanksgiving. We'll take care of it. When we took care of it, it knocked off over $100 a month on our payment.
Wow.
You know, because the guy lied to it. They straight up lied to us. And they don't care about you. And as much as you think they do, you get excited and they're telling you that, oh no, this is good. And this, no, they're just lying to you. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. So like the best piece of advice I have for anyone going to buy a car is don't pay attention to the payments. Pay attention to the total amount of the vehicle.
Right.
Because they can finagle the total amount of the vehicle and payments for their benefit. Right. And then I remember one time I was at the Ford dealer and I was renting a car down there because they have an Enterprise in the Ford dealership here. And there was a girl in there and she started crying.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. They took her in the back and she was crying and they were like, she was like, you told me this and she had traded her car in and got rid of her car or something. And like, now she's stuck in this thing. And it was just it's just so heartbreaking. Yeah. To think about that and to think about old people, senior citizens that go in to buy their car and they might not know any better or whatever, you know what I mean? Like people that just aren't as clued into certain things. These people are just screwing them and you can't do anything about it because like they're telling you like, we're going to charge you for VIN etching because of it's a secure thing. And you're just like, okay, that sounds great. Cause VIN etching is a scam. Yeah. I don't know if you know what that
I don't know what that is. No.
So VIN etching is like they'll go in or it's called VIN etching or it's called dots. They try to get us on the Civic with these dots, $1,200, and they put this code on each piece of the car, like the fender, the motor.
So if it gets stolen,
and disassembled, they can scan the dots and they know where the fender. And I'm like, that's why we have insurance, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If this gets stolen, we're going to get paid. I don't care what happens to the fenders afterwards. Right. Like $1,200 for dots.
And the point that you really drove home with me that I really didn't understand until you put it out there was like, you're financing that. You're paying a percentage rate on that money. You know, like it's this dealership up here, you know, put the rims and tires on it or whatever. They did whatever they had to do. I mean, they're putting the tires are going to wear out before the financing is done anyway, but you're still paying for those tires, those first set of tires you put on it. And then secondly, like the wheels they're putting on it they're just regular wheels. Like,
no, yeah. Get your free rims and tires that come on the truck and then go home and then it takes 6 months, make some money, pay cash for the rims and tires when those ones, or sell those ones. Like, imagine you buy that Tundra, right? And you pay for the aftermarket wheels and tires, but you're not getting the stock wheels and tires.
Yeah, they're not. They're not giving them back.
They're not giving you those.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, you could just get the stock wheels and tires.
Yeah.
And then go and spend way cheaper amount of money to get aftermarket wheels and tires. And now you have like $1,200 worth of stock wheels and tires you could sell.
Yeah. 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 And that's the things. And like you said, They get you in there. They butter you up. They make you feel so good. And then you're just wrapped up in the truck anyway. And me with new vehicles is the smell. I love that adhesive, whatever glue they're putting in those things, dude. It's like freaking intoxicating.
Yeah.
Like I just like lose my mind. I like get drunk on the smell. And so like, and they see that. And like I said, had I had a more, but I'm not going to say that like, cause obviously, me and Angie, we work as a unit and we're going to come to it together. But, just putting out there, like if there was a more savvy salesman or whatever, he could have.
Oh yeah. He would have tried a little bit harder to,
This guy was sort of like,
pull at your heartstrings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But,
if he knew like you drove this old Titan and you were just like, I don't care what I got to do. I want to drive a new truck home.
Uh-huh.
It's such a mental game we play with ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough with the Maverick to know going in I wasn't going to get it right away.
Yeah, I wish. And like, as we were going through this whole discussion, talking about it back and forth, and you're like, go on to Toyota and build.
Oh yeah. So
build
you can't do that.
I know. It's like, yeah,
Toyota's the only ones that you can't do that.
I know. And I was like, I couldn't figure it out. You're like, yeah, just build it. And then, the best I could do was build it and then submit that request to a dealership to see if they have it in stock.
Yeah.
But I guess there's
some car manufacturers you can go and build it and then order it with those specs that you did. But Toyota you can't, and I didn't
Toyota
know that.
Can't. But it just makes so much sense. But I guess there's like, without getting into like the politics of it either, like I guess there's like a big thing, like a lobby thing going on to where dealerships are hiring lobbyists to go to make rules against that. Think about it, like if that's the way it should be, I should be able to rock. If I could rock on the internet and have someone drop off a coffee at my house, then like I should be able to just order a car the way I want it and have it delivered to my house, basically.
Oh yeah, well those times are definitely changing, and that's going.
Well, I mean, look at coming.
We'll look at Tesla.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tesla's model is like they don't do zero dealership stuff.
Yeah, but they're also not allowed to be in certain states. Like the funny part is they can't have dealerships in Texas. Where they make some of their cars, like where they have their big old plant, because dealerships are so powerful that they and again, everyone has the right to make money, including the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
But we as the consumer have the right to not purchase it.
Exactly, yeah.
Which forces, the consumer, in the end, the consumers will always force the hand of the
business, the big
business. Yeah. Sometimes it just takes longer or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that's what's happening now is look at Amazon. Hyundai and Kia are about to start selling cars on Amazon.
Oh, really? Oh.
Now they're going to sell them through dealers. It's not like you're going to buy them straight from Kia. You're just going to be able to buy it on Amazon and it just comes to your house. And as weird as that sounds, we buy everything else on there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, everything, our whole lives are shipped to our door,
And that's and cars are the same way too, because you can literally buy a car from a dealer and have it shipped to you.
Yeah, but also like if you like another thought that I had on that, like imagine if you could do that, if you could sit down in your office, you could build exactly the car you want, and then you move on to the financing part But see, like that's where they're like, they don't want you to do that. Because now you can sit there for hours and stare at it. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Let's add this, Yeah.
When I bought the Maverick, I built it online. And then I went down to the dealership, talked to a salesman. I said, this is my build. These are the options that I want. And he was like, okay, cool. And he's like, it's going to take a while to get it. You know what I mean? We need a deposit from you. Sign here, sign here. This is the price you're paying. And I said, okay, cool. And then when the car got delivered, I went into finance. They're like, do you want Gap? I was like, no. Do you want warranty? I was like, no. And they didn't pressure me on anything.
He's like, okay.
Yeah. With the Civic, it was definitely like pressure. And luckily they reversed all that. But there's also all the market adjustments and all that stuff, depending on which vehicles you're buying. Some of that's staying, some of that stuff's going away. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I learned a lot by watching that Chevy Dude's YouTube channel, and a couple of other YouTube channels where they talk about how they can mess with the finance rate. Yeah. And you think about it, if you're getting, like, for example, you're getting a 5% interest, they can tell you 5.9% and then or whatever, and if they just adjust it by like 2 tenths of a percent.
I know. It
They're
changes.
making an extra $500 that day.
Yeah.
And they can do that.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
To them, if they just have, they don't, they're like, okay, we'll get your payments $9 a month less, or for $2 a month more, we can do this. And it's just like, you're just like, oh, I just want to get out of here and whatever.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The easiest car I ever bought was our Camry. Because like when I was young, when I bought my Tundra, I was only 23-ish years old. So
And you
my
got your
parents,
Titan?
yeah, what'd I say?
Yeah, Tundra.
Oh my God, I'm getting all these. People listening are gonna be so confused. Yeah, when I bought the Titan, I was still really young, so my parents helped me a lot on that one. So I really didn't understand.
Yeah.
And then Angie bought a Scion that same year. Same kind of thing. Our parents helped us and everything. We didn't understand. So when we bought the Camry, we were older, kind of had a better understanding. But I still like growing up with my parents and listening. You listen to your parents. You listen to your parents what they're gonna do. So my parents have my dad has a particular way of buying cars, whether that's right or not, I don't know, whatever. But I went in with that mentality, and I very remember distinctly sitting down. So we totaled the Scion, so we had like the insurance money, and the AAA put us on to Crown Toyota in Ontario, and they're like, talk to this guy, he'll help you out. So I did, and he was a fleet manager. So his whole like kind of approach at selling a car was different anyway. Like, he's not a regular salesman; he's just selling fleets of cars. And so we sat down, and I'm like, have that mentality, that old school mentality, like we're gonna negotiate. And the dude's like, no, man, it's 60 months, 0% financing. This is the price of the car.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, I'm all, well, I want this kind of payment, and he's like, no, you're not understanding.
Yeah. Well, and that's the best thing. Again, it goes back to like paying attention to the total price of the car. So I want to know my car payments on. Give me the total price of what I'm financing, not the add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could work like if you want a warranty or if you want this, that's cool. But work that in after you find out the total amount of the payment for the actual vehicle.
Right. And like, I wanted a couple things like starting this whole conversation. One, I think this is interesting. I think a lot of people are like always looking at new cars or buying new cars, especially like in our little, scene, I guess, is vehicles. That's what we do. We mess with trucks and stuff. So I think it's a really good insight to that. And hopefully maybe two byproducts will happen. Maybe this whole me being kind of open with this whole journey will help people on theirs. Or if anybody's listening, they're like, hey, I can help you. Like,
oh, and here's the thing that I learned too. You could buy a truck. It doesn't have to be in Southern California.
That's true. You can go.
You can buy, if anyone's listening and knows a good Toyota dealer, a good Toyota salesman, or someone in fleet or someone at a dealership, it doesn't matter where, if you could save $1,500 or $2,000 on something and by buying it in North Carolina, you'd pay that in shipping, and they'll ship it out to your door. And then when you register it, you pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes in whatever state you register it in, right? So like,
right. And Doug did that. Remember when Doug bought that new truck?
In Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
All he did was just pay all the California fees on it, and then it's a California truck. Like, it doesn't have to. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to buy it. Yeah. Because all of these trucks are they say 50 state emissions. Like, so it doesn't matter where they come from.
It doesn't matter where they come from. Yeah. That's not a thing.
So
anymore.
That's definitely a thing to explore too. And that's one thing that, like I said, you saved me, man. I was right at the edge, and you grabbed me by the collar of my shirt, and you're like, come here.
I hate that I'm that way. But it's one of those things where, like, if I could start a business where I could go, and this is the thing. I saw a guy on TikTok. You could pay him a little bit of money, and he will go with you to the dealership, and he can't really. He can just be there.
To just be like, whoa, hold on.
To advise.
Yeah.
Like, because it's essentially, it's up to you what you want.
Right.
Like, what I want personally, or what I would buy personally in a finance department, is not what you would buy personally in a finance department. Mm-hmm. It's like the warranty. I did not opt for a warranty on the Ford Maverick, because I knew that I could buy a warranty through Ford, not a third-party warranty, but through Ford. I can buy a warranty through any Ford dealership, and they're cheaper sometimes when you buy them afterwards. Sometimes not. Sometimes the dealer that you're buying it from can get you a really good deal.
Mm-hmm. But also, if you bought it after and you had the money to purchase it after, you're not paying interest on that. Like, to me, like, that's like the biggest like caveat to this whole thing.
Especially right now.
Oh yeah,
with
their interest rates were pretty up there.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. You're like walking in. You're like, I got excellent credit. They're like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
You're
know,
getting screwed.
And especially buying the Camry was zero. Like Angie asked me, she's like, "Can we get one for like wait for a 0% deal?" I'm like, I don't think they do those on Tundras. They're the little Camrys all day. Like, yeah, man, whatever. But these freaking Tundras, you know. But it's an experience.
If you could wait a year to buy anything, wait a year to buy anything because it's they'll start creeping down next year. But
you think so in a year? And that's one thing that like I really had to like calm down. I had to be like, just relax. Let's think about this. Let's you know if you would have, we're not getting into payments and specifics and stuff, but if you would have bought that truck 2 weekends ago, your payment would be due. Usually, like they kind of skip a month or whatever, right? But since you didn't buy it, pretend you had that payment. Oh yeah.
And go buy 2 pieces of artwork for Custom Life.
Oh, there you go. I see what you're saying.
Or you don't need a new truck right now. Wait 6 months. See what happens with the interest rates. Pretend you had a truck payment for 6 months and buy 12 pieces of artwork from artists.
That's okay. Moving on. I really want a truck. No, that's the other part of it. That like we're like sitting here trying to make like these like really intelligent decisions and like these moves. But sometimes
it sounds good.
I just want it.
It also sounds great.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's just not the way the world works.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, no, we've already made the decision. We're buying this truck. We just need to find the one that suits us and fits us. But
that's what it's going to come down to. You know, also having a strict set of things that we want. Like we want these things. Don't settle on that. You know, or don't make any negotiations on that.
Yeah. Well, remember, it's funny. We didn't know that the lane assist is standard.
The lane assist is standard, but what I found out is the little lights in the mirrors are not on every truck.
So no, of course not. But what's funny is, again, those little lights on the mirror that you're talking about, those do nothing. They're just decorations.
There are some very strict set of things that.
But remember, those decorations can be bought afterwards. Oh. So if you found a truck, are you gonna let a set of mirrors differentiate? I don't know how much money a month.
When Angie listens to this episode, I'll ask her.
Because well, what's funny is Chelsea's the same way. Like we bought hers. Hers is a Civic Sport. So it's like one step up from base. You know what I mean? But all the adaptive cruise control, all this stuff comes standard on these cars now, which is really cool. She doesn't use any of that. She was the same way. She goes, there's no freaking lights in these mirrors. And I went, no. And she goes, I wanted lights in my mirrors. I was like, well, you didn't. At the time when we bought it, we didn't have, like, there was, we were like, you had to buy this car or we're selling it in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's important, the things that you want. But remember those things that you want.
So you're just saying, like, have a little bit of give.
Well, if you're say you're at a dealership and you're like, everything on this truck is exactly what we want, except it doesn't have the mirrors. That dealer, you can tell that dealership too. Like they can get the mirrors for you and say, look, hey guys, like we will buy this truck right now, but I need you to add right here that you're going to change out these mirrors for us.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. See, those are the little things.
And it might cost $500 or $750. But you're already there. The truck's already there. If the dealership's willing to do it, then do it and bake in that $750 in your financing because you were going to if you were going to go, you're like, no, there's no lights in this. I'm going to go to this other dealership, which is going to take you a whole nother day, a whole nother set of whatever. You might end up spending it like $2,000 more just because you wanted the lights in there when you could have saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, those are good points. Yeah.
It just depends. Right now is a good time because you can be a little bit more picky on stuff because those 12 Tundras aren't moving.
Oh, they're not.
They're sitting there.
Yeah,
you know, so
definitely. Yeah, and then so I checked out that one in Ontario. We're heading down to Riverside, next week. So I'm thinking maybe pop into the Riverside dealership, see what they got going on there, and just keep doing that until and try to take out the sense of urgency. I think
that's a big thing.
I think that's the one thing that I'm trying to figure out is take out the sense of urgency.
Well, because you don't need it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. Like every time I went on the dealership. Well, not every time because the second time I took the camera, but I pulled the first time, pull it to the dealership, walk out of the truck, And they're like, what are you looking at? Oh, I'm looking at Tundras. Okay, cool. He's like, you going to trade in that Nissan over there? It's like, get your freaking eyes off that Nissan. Number one, they're going to give me $2,500 for it.
No, if that.
Dude, they're like, we'll give you $500.
That's another thing is trade-ins. If your car's over 100,000 miles, don't even think about trading it in. You can get way more on a private sale because 100,000 miles, the dealership buys them and sends them to auction. They don't resell them, so they're not gonna give you any money for them.
Well, especially in my truck.
Well, you'll get screwed out of it because they're just gonna bake it into they're just gonna move money around and shuffle things around, and then it doesn't matter. So
yeah. But yeah, so I'm excited to start this journey. Like I said, I wanted to open it up, kind of like bring everybody along. I filmed some stuff like with my phone, just kind of like, and so, there'll be a video to accompany. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It'll be fun. Or actually another option is I bring all this up, we do it. And then we were like, what? The Titan's fine.
Well, in reality, in a black and white reality, it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have, if you take your reasonings and you write them down on paper that you want a new truck, it's a simple want.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There is zero need. And like on a financial decision, like I went through this with the Maverick, like really self-reflecting on if I needed this or not. Remember when I first bought it, I was like,
yeah,
no, I don't need it.
I know you just showed it in the garage, shut the door, like
shut it in the garage, left it in there. And then finally I like realized like, okay, this is actually financially beneficial to me.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing does this make sense financially? And it ended up making sense financially.
Yeah. Yeah. These are all the things we have to explore, but just kind of like methodically, I think,
Take the urgency out of it.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause then you'll get home and you'll be like, what did I do?
I know. I almost did that. But anyway, I digress. Join me on this. The title of this episode is going to be Frank buys a new Tundra or something.
It'll be Severed in the Southwest, but then on these titles, remember, we only talk about the actual what's in the title for a few seconds.
Yeah, I know. I think it's kind of funny.
It's always a surprise. You know what I mean? So don't think that when people see these titles, don't think that
we put a lot of thought into
the episodes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, not because we have to have a title.
Yeah.
Or we don't have to have a title. It could just be The Drop with Frank and Brian, episode 83.
That's true. It's fun when they have a little
We
title.
just put the title in there just to give it a little bit of something. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, see how it goes. Anyway, our giveaway, we got that going down. We're giving away an Acura E-Level kit. All you got to do is go to our websites, livelifecustom.com, grinder-tv.com. As always, every $5 you spend, one entry into the drawing.
Do you think next week? Oh, we'll talk about this in the post show.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.